So where do I start? Hey guys, this is my first homeschooling video that I have done in a while. And it's more of a life update. What in the world is going on with us? I've been a little vague lately about some life changes, and I finally think I am emotionally stable enough to have a little chat. So if you guys want to hear about my life and what's going on, then stay tuned. Hey, so where should I start? If you're new here, I'm Toni, and I'm a homeschooling mom to 4 kids. And I normally by this time of the year would be sharing with you guys, well, I would have already shared with you guys months ago, what we're using next year. The reason I haven't shared that yet is because life has been so up in the air that I wasn't even sure if I was going to be homeschooling in the fall, which was breaking my heart. But I've been trying to patiently wait on God to give me an answer. And as you know, he doesn't really speak verbally anymore. I wish he did, but he doesn't. So trying to wait on God and listen and try to pray that he will give you wisdom is not for the faint-hearted. I'll give you a little backstory before I tell you kind of what the deal is. I have kind of alluded to some life challenges that we've dealt with over the last few years, but haven't really come out and shared like the whole story. And I don't want this to be like a 45-minute long video. So I'm going to give you kind of the Cliff's Notes. Did anybody else use those in high school? I did. The Cliff's Notes version of what our life's been like the last 3 years and what led us to me not sure if I was going to be able to homeschool again in the fall. So 3 years ago, actually, it's probably been 3.5. I would say about 3.5 years ago, my husband got, I don't know if it's a bad word anymore on YouTube, but I know that it used to be, if you said it, you would get demonetized. I don't think that's a deal anymore, but anyway, you know what happened in 2020, okay? I'll just say it, and hopefully I don't get banned. My husband got COVID at the end of 2019. We had back up a little bit further, we had bought an inn. Life was easy peasy, piece of cake. We had a beautiful house here. My husband was working full time. I was homeschooling 4 kids. We're like, hey, there's a house going up for auction in a perfect location. I've always wanted a bed and breakfast. Let's buy it and do that. So it seems so far now away to think that we were in that situation where we could just do that. But we were. My husband has done home renovations his whole life, so it wasn't a big deal, or for his adult life. So went to the auction, not really thinking we'd get the house, but we got the house. Amazing deal. We spent about a year with my husband doing all the work except for like HVAC and windows and the roof. Otherwise, he did everything, and it was a complete remodel gut job. It was a disaster. We had spent about a year of that, and then in November, my husband got COVID. That was the end of the renovations. Like it couldn't have been more perfect timing. If he had gotten COVID 3 months earlier, we wouldn't have been able to finish our inn. So it was totally God's timing, even though it would have been nice if it didn't happen at all, but it did happen. So he got COVID, no big deal. He was down for a week and a half, got on with life, was kind of normal for maybe a month, then it got bad. And then he started to struggle. He was a police officer, so he drives for a living. Has to try to deal with bad guys and, there's a lot that's involved in being a police officer. And he started to struggle where he couldn't do his daily duties. We live about 30 minutes away from where he worked, and he was struggling to drive to work and to understand his issues were all neurological. He didn't ever have any breathing issues or anything like that, but he got hit in his neurological system. So he struggled to drive. He struggled to stay awake at work. There was a whole lot, and God worked it all out. He was able to stay at his job for a long time, even though he couldn't do a lot of his duties. And then eventually we realized he's not getting better. He's been to all the best specialists there is. He'd been to, I think he said, over 90 appointments, and that was like quite a while ago. And nobody knew anything, I don't know if any of you guys struggle with long hauler. If you do, you know that the doctors pretty much know nothing, and it's like they're just your guinea pig, and they don't know what they're doing. So it was frustrating. We wanted answers. We didn't really get answers. It was really hard. So my big, strong husband that could do anything and, take down a bad guy and, work 12-hour shift if he needed to, was now struggling to stay awake and was now struggling to do basic tasks. And it was really hard and really discouraging. So we finally realized in August of 20, we did open our inn in March of 2021. That was all the grace of God that actually happened. And then the rest of that year, he just struggled. And we finally, in September of that year, realized that he needed to retire on disability. That may sound easy, but it is not. So it took months and months of this disability process and trying to get disability and prove that this is a disability. So the hard part is it's an invisible disease. All of his symptoms are things that he can talk about and things that he feels, but it's not things that you see. He looks normal. And then this year, the economy is just slow and people are not spending money. So having only disability and then our inn, which is booked some, but it's not booked like it used to be, things have been tight. So fast forward to where we are right now. This summer, when I was like, finished school, and I said, hey, I need to order curriculum. And my husband was like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to homeschool. Oh, it hurt my heart. So he said, I don't know if we can homeschool because I think you might need to get a job. And he actually cannot work. Every once in a while he can drive maybe 10 minutes from the house and that's it. But there are days where he just can't drive. And it's hard to work when you can't drive, even just getting to work. He's just very limited. And I know that he would work if he could. And so I struggled with this when he said, I think you might need to get a job. And I'm like, first of all, I haven't worked in 15 years. My last job I quit. I went on maternity leave and never came back. I had a baby and I stayed home with her and we could afford for me to stay home. And then I had a baby every 2 years. Had 4 babies then, and I homeschooled in the middle there, and it was just, everything was great. So the idea of having to go back to work right now, it isn't just like, hey, I sit at home and eat bonbons all day and watch soap operas or something. It's, I homeschool my kids, which how am I going to do that and work? Now, obviously there's some of you watching that are like, you can do it. It can be done. I just didn't think it could. And I was like, what do I do? Do I have to send my kids to school? Which just, when you feel like it's a calling, I have always felt like this is what I'm supposed to do. God has called me to do this. I'm supposed to be homeschooling my kids. I pictured, even my youngest all the way through high school, that I would be homeschooling all 4 of them. My oldest is in 10th grade, is going into 10th grade. So we're almost there. But I also have a 3rd grader, and I've got 2 more in between. So it just, like, I felt like it was an end of everything. And I know that might sound dramatic, and some of you guys might be like, oh, good grief, deal with it. But it was hard. It was really hard having, like, just what I've known for so long and being comfortable. I was so comfortable in what we were doing. I was so comfortable with being able to homeschool, having this YouTube channel and sharing with you guys, like, this stuff. I never claimed to be an expert, but sharing the good and the bad of homeschooling. And I just lately have felt like, man, I don't even have anything to share. I don't even know if I can homeschool anymore. And just feeling like it's an end to stuff, which was really hard. So I've been praying for strength to do whatever God wants me to do. And I talked to my mom, who we didn't have a whole lot of money growing up. I'm not even going to get into my childhood, but I had a rough childhood in certain aspects, and we went through some really hard stuff, and my mom worked 3 to 4 jobs to make ends meet to help us. And so when I told her I may have to go to work, she wasn't like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's so hard. She was like, you can do it. I know you can do it. And it kind of helped me snap out of it and realize, okay, you can do this. I know there's homeschool moms that work. There's homeschool moms that work full time that still somehow succeed with their kids. And it felt like an impossible task. But I'm finally at the point where I feel like, with God, what's the verse? I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I know I can do this. I know that God can help me through this. It's going to take a lot, but it looks like I am probably going to have to go to work. I think if I get a job that pays well enough, bonus would be if it has insurance, because that's our biggest dilemma. Man, insurance is expensive, and we had really good insurance before, which I didn't fully appreciate, but I do now. I've applied to one place that probably would be really good, flexible-ish schedule to where it may not affect homeschooling quite as much. I will probably be exhausted, and I'm already exhausted, but I know that I can do this. And my husband's gonna have to help also, and I don't know how that'll look because he's different than he used to be. So I don't think he could have really, I would have said he couldn't have homeschooled back when he was normal. And now it'd be even harder. Just he struggles with noises, and I've got a boy, you know, like my girls are pretty self-sufficient and don't need as much hand holding, but yeah. Anyway, you can pray for me. If you pray to God, I would love for you to pray for me. Just that we can do this. And that I now am trying to decide on curriculum, and I already had a good idea of what I was going to be using. I got to make sure that all that will work if I'm not here, you know, where before I was basing it on me teaching the stuff. My husband may need to teach some of the stuff. I'm hoping it'll work out where I can be here. We may have to get up pretty early, and maybe I'll teach certain subjects that I love to teach and that would be better for me to teach, like history and science and maybe Bible and like some of the more fun things. And then maybe I'd go to work and my husband would be able to kind of be like a hall monitor or like a tutor, you know, and just help them through math and help them through language and some of the other things that they'd have. So I don't know what that's going to look like. And I never thought I would be a YouTuber that shared things about being a homeschooling, working full-time, part-time working mom. But it looks like that might be me. I am hoping God works it out that I can continue to do YouTube because I love it. We'll see if I can just, you know, keep things going. But for now, I'm going to keep doing videos once a week. And I don't know how much wisdom I will be able to share, but I'm really good at sharing failures too. So anyway, that's what's been going on with us. And it was a lot. And kind of to wrap it all up, from where we started with like easy peasy peachy life to, man, mostly every day is hard. God's the only thing that's got me through it. And I have not even done as much Bible reading and prayer as I should have, which I probably would be better off. Well, that's dumb to say. I would be better off. I need to spend more time in the Word, spend more time praying. There are times where I've gotten to where, like, I don't even know how to pray anymore. You know, have you ever gotten to that point? It's hard. I am trusting that God has a plan. Man, his plans don't look like our plans. And it says that in the Bible. My plans are not your plans. My ways are not your ways. I have no idea if I'm saying the verse right, but that's the gist of just trust him. And that's what faith is all about. And so I hope that this encourages you a little bit, that if you're going through a hard time, that God can get you through it, that you need to trust him. Even when it's so hard and you feel like you cannot do it, it is absolutely impossible. Nothing's impossible with him. That's kind of what's been going on with me and with us. And I do hope to have a what we're using next year curriculum video out soon as I make these decisions. I hope to continue to share about homeschooling. And I am thriftier than ever because we are having to cut back, because I know anything we spend pushes me more into having to work more hours and be away from my family. And I don't know. I guess it's just good to know that you never know what God's plans are going to be. And we still have this house. We still have our inn. Hopefully that'll continue. Things break. We had a car in the shop the other day. We have a sinkhole in the backyard. There's always something, you know, but I'm trusting that God has us in his hand and that he is going to provide. I know he will, because he always does. He always has. Ever since I was a kid, he's always provided. So someday I'll share my whole testimony and some things in my childhood that were difficult, because God's got me through a lot. So it is so dumb when I doubt him and doubt his power, because I've seen it firsthand. But sometimes I do. Sometimes I get all caught up in this little life of mine and poor me, but God is so much bigger than I am. And this having to go to work, you know, even if it's part-time, is really, in the grand scheme of things, nothing, you know? So I've got to keep my mindset right. But I just wanted to share that with you guys so you know what's going on with me and you're not just like, what is her deal? Why isn't she sharing her homeschool videos or whatever? That's what's been going on with me lately. So I really appreciate the encouragement and the prayer, and I hope that this did encourage you, because I know there's a lot of moms that are living, or dads that are homeschooling. I mean, now maybe I'll see this other side of dads homeschooling. I've had dads that have gotten on me before in videos on like, why don't you say dads and not just moms? I know there's dads out there that are homeschooling. And so I hope that you are encouraged, that we know that this is the best thing for our kids. That doesn't mean that's what it has to be, because there might be a time where I have to put my kids in school, and I have to trust that that's part of God's plan too. But I'm trying to do the best thing for them right now, the best thing for my family. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for being here. If you were encouraged by this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not yet subscribed, subscribe, because you never know what I'm going to be sharing. I don't even have a clue what I'm going to be sharing. I don't know what life has in store for me, but I'm just going to trust God and keep going every day. Live for today. He's going to take care of us. So anyway, thanks for being here. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.